July 2023 video horoscopes for the 12 signs with me, Lada, from Astrolada.com. I'm so excited. July we have some of the most karmic configuration in the sky. Pluto, which is considered the planet that governs the evolution of the soul and the evolutionary path, and the most karmic and fatal and fated events will square the karmic nodes, which are considered the north node is the true north of the soul, the new karma soul has to create. The south node is the past karma soul has to create. So some very pivotal fated karmic events will happen, like the universe is no longer waiting for you to make up your mind. It's giving you consequences of your actions and is realigning you to the path that is most appropriate for your soul, whether you're ready or no. So some events that I'll say for each sign what these events will be will trigger a specific big consciousness shift and realigning of your karmic direction and the karmic path in life for your soul during the next month, July and into August. And we'll speak what events this can be for each one of you. But something pivotal, very important is happening, guys, and Venus is turning retrograde, but helping this process with a trine. So I'm very excited for this month. And before I start, Nikola Stojanovic, my past teacher, the late Nikola Stojanovic, his books are still not out. His daughter is trying to publish them. He's the most genius astrologist who ever lived. But we're releasing all his courses, 9 courses for a discounted price, or you can choose just 3 of his courses in a package and get them. This is part of my Lada's Top Picks that continues the whole till October 2023, where I recommend you the best astrology courses and the themes, and Nikola Stojanovic is for everything. I mean, if you want to do astrology like a magician, like a psychic almost, check out those courses. I cannot recommend them enough. And of course I do Q&A live once per month for each group till October. If you have questions for every new package of course I recommend. So thank you. Let's begin July. Aquarius, Sun, Moon or Rising, July 2023. Aquarius, the big news is that the nodes are changing signs. They were in more disruptive positions for us for the last year and a half. I mean, exciting things because they were in the 4th house, the North Node. For me, it played by the book. We gained the house, I decorated it, home, family, all of those things. But it can be destabilizing because there's lots of changes around pivotal things when the North Node and the South Node and the 1st and 10th with career, with personal life, well, they're moving away from those pivotal positions and they're moving into the 3rd and the 9th house. And whenever the North Node goes, and it will be there till 2025, from July now till 2025, wherever the North Node goes, we get more passionate, more excited there, more stimulated into action, more active, because the North Node has energy of spring, energy of opportunity, of material gains, of excitement, and of activation. Well, you get activated in the 3rd house. Mentally, you'll be much more stimulated, and socially. So you're coming out of more like the North Node, the South Node in the 4th house, sorry, the North Node in the 4th house. Maybe you are more like nestled and so on and settled. Well, now you start to become more social, and for the next year and a half, Aquarius will, and that's something that they feel quite comfortable with, because Aquarius is an air sign of connecting, and the 3rd house is an air house, even though it's in the sign of Aries for them. But you'll be definitely much more initiative to make friendships, to connect with others, associates. Even you might not be even you making those efforts. 3rd house can be them, associates approaching you, people that want to connect with you, accelerating communication. The speed of information and your social interactions will increase. There'll be a lot more emails, media around you, news that you're receiving every day that might be a bit surprising and exciting. You might be much more interested in what's happening in the world around you, reading the news. Oh my God, I'm already doing that so much. But I have to get ready for that. Quite overly stimulating for the mind. And there might be a lot increased activities in anything to do with 3rd house. So increase activity and ambitions and manifestation of, say, if you're doing a website, you can manifest a website during this year and a half. You can manifest an online business, and usually Rahu gives material manifestation and gains from that. You can manifest some commercial activity. You can manifest some brand or a project that you work on with a small group of people, with a team. You can manifest a team for yourself. You can activate, and you can the North Node in the third house can get you much more interested in marketing, advertising, connecting with others. If you're in sales, for example, you might have much better sales and much better idea how to connect with others, how to advertise. Or you might just want to learn new things. Rahu loves, the North Node loves being in the third house. It's his favorite house because Rahu likes learning new things, experimenting, and the third house has no rules. The third house is the house of trying new things as well, learning new things, experimenting. So it's time to jump out of your high horse in the ninth house, where you're just observing from the top of the mountain, and with your moral studying, learning, I have to know all the knowledge. No, now you have to jump in, get your hands dirty, jump in the sand and start playing, building castles, testing those theories, those ideals, those maybe naturally Aquarius are full of ideologies, they're full of theories, of abstract knowledge, which is very much ninth house activity. And the South Node there says, enough of your abstracizing and philosophizing, get your hands dirty, go and play in the sand with the other kids. and you're like, oh, the South Node, what if I don't know? I need to know everything before I try this business or try this new experience or try this new thing. I need to know it all and how it's going to play out. And the third house, Rahu, is telling you, no, you just need to jump and figure it out in the moment of play. That's how children, third house rules children in young age. And you see how they play in kindergarten, for example. They play parallel to each other, and they don't have a plan. They figure it out as they do. And they usually do better than if they organize two teams of grown-ups and a little one, and they give them, psychologists have tested it, and they tell them, build something out of these boxes. And the kids do much better because the adults, they start thinking what the plan will be, who will be the leader, who will take this. Like they want to know the big plan, the ninth house. And the South Node now tells you don't need to know every step of the big plan. You don't need to see the big picture. Just jump and, like little children, experiment, play, collaborate with others, try different things. You learn in the process. So that can be a fantastic time for a year and a half where people like start trying new, even if you're not doing a business or whatever. Like I'm working on a software and I'm hoping to finally complete it. So I'm like Rahu in the third house, come on, to get passionate about it and things to get moving. But for you, it might be just like that. You want to try new activities, try skateboarding, and they might be quite physical and martial. It's Aries. Try playing some, dancing. Try, third house is learning any new skills, any new interests and activities. That can also be called hobbies. It's not just the fifth house. So third house, when it's activated, your mind will be open to experimenting, trying new things, going to some, go to knitting classes, go to classes that, whatever it's your interest though, of course, like, martial arts can be great with Aries there. But something that you do in a small group, that you're not always alone, because the South Node, which is the weakening influence, is in the ninth house, and it means the universe wants you for a little bit to let go of, and this is another self house, like the first and the ninth, to let go of how you think should be done, it's like you know best. Maybe others know better. Maybe even if they don't know better, you can receive other different points of view and energies. So open yourself to other people. Open yourself to the opinions of others, to the help you can receive from others, and open yourself to the energies that can come to you from others. So by the end of this process, many of you will be surrounded by a different social environment. There might be a lot of new friends or acquaintances in your daily life. For example, I'm hoping to meet moms from the groups, from the schools of my child or whatever, like-minded. Someone that you like it's third house is neighbors, friends, acquaintances. Third house is colleagues. So there might be new people in your life that you're surrounded to, and that you have a more connection and awaken you to passion, to excitement in life, because you can't always figure it out alone. And this is the south node in the ninth house telling you can't always know everything and figure it out all alone. You need the help of others. This is specifically for you, Aquarius. And that can spark your life force, because Aries, the planet of the sign of initiating, of being excited, of being active, is in your third house. And what triggers you is by communicating with others, by sharing ideas with others, is by exchanging. Even just hanging out with others can make Aquarius feel alive. I know there are Aquarians that want to hide in a hole and hate the whole humanity or the individual people, but believe me, what makes you feel this Aries energy of initiative, of feeling alive, the life force of Aries running through you, the North Node will activate it for you, and that's to be socially more active, to be surrounded more with people. And there might be people that are very different that you usually connect with the North Node. They might be foreigners, there might be people that are different cultural, ethical background than you. There might be people that you don't normally hang out with, but they introduce something new to you. Be open to it. Building bridges now is important for you. You might also get passionate about driving. You can learn a new skill like driving, or cars are ruled by the third house. Vehicles, driving, different new transportation, like I don't know, buy a electric or get into I mean this time this will work. Get a driving license finally. Get passionate about it, because the North Node makes you passionate. You can get passionate about online stuff, computers, anything that is third house, new interests, learning skills, take classes, start reading more. You can become a little bit, with North Node, it can become a bit OCD though. It's an obsessive compulsive energy about it, like I've been reading or listening to 2 audio books per week, or sometimes listening to an audio book when reading something. I'm like, overstimulation of the mind. I'm starting to feel it already. So be careful of that. It's a possibility. This oversatiation with information, with news, and fake news as well. The North Node it has ability to mislead you with information sometimes. There is a lot of information. You have to learn to be discriminatory, but North Node is not discriminatory. It just wants to take everything, gather as much information. Maybe you'll discriminate through it later, But you might, I'm just saying that there is a possibility for being misled by some information, or also be very careful to be truthful with your words. This is important, to be specific with your words, so your words are not misinterpreted and misrepresented. A quality of North Node that can happen. So then, like, fingers pointed, you said that, she said that. But if you're in any way in media, public figure, you'll be much more outspoken. You'll be much more communicating with those, your clients, your following. You'd have much more commercial activities, networking, connecting, and so on, or learning skills. Fantastic time for that. Short travels. There can be a lot of short travels, exploring your area around you. I usually like this energy a lot. It's quite fun. Well, then on another level, the South Node in the ninth house might ask you to say goodbye to a teacher or belief system, to be even disappointed a bit in some belief system or outlook on life, to release it, or some strict moral, too tight rules as well. You might abandon them for better or worse for a little bit, because this is the moral house, the ninth house of what is right, what is wrong, what I should, what I shouldn't, which are very important. These are the spiritual principles, but like the South Node, there is telling you that for a little bit you need to dive into the more experimental part and forget about what is right and wrong, because sometimes even our spiritual principles that we have are outdated, so some of those will be deconstructed for you. Of course, there might be a little bit like an existential crisis in your belief system with the South Node transiting there, or it can be a weakening between the relationship with a father figure or a teacher, or loss of a father figure in extreme cases. It can also be that you're, because the nodes, they would not stop you from traveling abroad, but the North Node in the third house will make you more immersed in more culturally familiar if you travel somewhere, maybe countries next door, states next door, around your area, and so on. And the South Node in the ninth house can indicate that you are some higher knowledge, that you kind of abandoning it, or just like I'm constantly reading philosophies, like higher knowledge of anthroposophy and so on. Maybe for a little bit, you get off from your those high topics and come down in the real world and be more present. The third house rules perceptions, interestingly enough, being aware of the reality around you. And so you'll be pulled out from being up in your head down more into your reality, and you'll become more interested and curious about people around you, normal day things, rather than always the high-minded things for a little bit, and so on. Or you can bring the higher knowledge that you have from the South Node, that you can channel, whatever the South Node is, you can channel and bring it to normal people, and talk about it with the North Node. Okay, but during this whole July and August, so this was for the next year and a half, but just specifically in July and into August, Pluto from your 12th house will be squaring the axis of the karmic nodes. And Pluto is the most karmic planet, the most fatal, the one that leads and shows the evolution of the soul, the highest mission of the soul. So the three most karmic points are in a difficult interaction, which is like a pivotal point, the tipping of the card, and Pluto is the pebble that turns that card. Something happens in your subconscious that changes your perception, because all those three karmic points are in houses of perception. The lower mind of everyday reality, your normal brain, the higher mind, higher perspective, higher reality, seeing things from a bigger perspective, and the 12th house, your subconscious as well, where the level of consciousness is stored. So something might happen for the luckiest of you, or those that are at this stage, that their level of consciousness can shift now. Their perspective about reality can change over the next month or two ahead. Whether you're ready or no, these planets are not going to wait for you. Those three karmic points, they activate houses of consciousness and perception for you. You'd see something quite differently than other times. There'll be like a shift, like in your brain. Maybe something that's been karmically, and Pluto is squaring the nodes. The planet that squares the nodes is considered in evolutionary astrology the skipped step. Pluto from the 12th house is the skipped step. There is something in your subconscious that was skipped. Pluto just came back into a 12th house. So now it wants you to revise it. It's not even going to ask you, like something's going to get into your subconscious, even from past lifetimes, something that like a forgotten memory might jump out to the surface of your consciousness. The skipped step, or this skipped inner demon, or the skipped weakness that is buried in the subconscious, that is hidden vice, or that is triggering some addiction, that's triggering some self-sabotaging behavior or weakness in you. This is what the 12th house represents. Well, it will jump out, and in a fatal, irreversible way will shift the axis of how you think, how you see reality, and it can change your everyday reality. Your daily habits is the third house, your daily interactions, what you think about. It's going to shift again the direction and the evolution of what you believe, your relations with God. And by the way, the South Node in the ninth house doesn't mean you're not going to have connection to God, because the ninth house is God, the higher self. South Node actually can remove barriers to everything and even allow for channeled experience. But something can happen, something from the past can come back, or something from your subconscious can be triggered that makes that big change. And I don't know, there might be specific events that feels a bit critical that triggers this big shift in your consciousness and into the not only in your consciousness, but this is like the high time for your soul to realign to a certain path. It will happen for everyone in certain area of their life. And because Pluto and the karmic nodes, come on, the two most karmic positions are interacting in a challenging way. So the decision is taken. you're going to the next level of evolution, kicking and screaming, even if you don't like it. And the event that can trigger it can come from any of those 3 houses, actually 4 houses. It can be from your 12th house. It can be triggered by some subconscious memory, some psychological realization, or some loss. Or it can be triggered by any kind of 6th house health issues, which is health issues or work, some change with work, or anything connected to health habits. That is the final tipping stone. Or it can be connected to the 3rd house, your environment, relatives, people in your everyday environment. The 9th house, a teacher, a teaching, higher knowledge, or through some trip. It can happen through some travel, or some trip, some shift of a position where you're placed, because the 3rd and 9th house is the axis of traveling. So it might be what triggers this big realignment and change in consciousness. Might be even a simple things like going somewhere on a trip, that can trigger it. Or I don't know which of the houses it will come through, but it might be a crisis prone because of Pluto, and it will feel like irreversible, but it will align your soul to the right path, to your true north. All right. What is helping you in this process? It's Venus in your 7th house. The whole time in July and into August, it's trining the North Node, it's sextiling the South Node. So this pivotal evolutionary step in consciousness for your soul that is happening now, even if it's stressful, there is help and support. And for you, it might come from your marriage partner, from boyfriend, girlfriend, from a counselor, from an advisor, from a female friend, or for a kind person who is kind and likes you, for an advice from another person, support from outside. And Venus will be in your 7th house the whole summer. It will turn retrograde on July 22nd till the beginning of September. But Venus retrograde there, unless you're in difficult relationship, will actually make you have very wonderful, loving experiences with romantic partners, deepening of relationships. I've even seen people meet their life partners during Venus retrograde, but usually there is something a bit complicated. They might be already in a relationship, and that just pushes them. They meet someone during Venus retrograde, especially in the 7th house. Come on, that's so possible for some of you. So it might push you. If you are not in a healthy relationship or very certain, you can meet someone even during the retrograde period, and then the retrograde period triggers that dissolution of the other relationships and deciding that, okay, I don't need to be with this person, or hanging on to that. But if you're in good relationship, it's a bit of a reevaluation of the relationship, maybe reconnecting, making more fair rules for the both of you, that to feel more connected, falling deeper in love for some of you. If there is problems in the relationships, the retrograde Venus period can bring them up to be talked about. And of course, when it's a good relationship, it will be worked through, and then the intimacy will be deeper even. There can be some important developments there in relationships happening, but usually for the good, and the good will be seen in around September when Venus turns direct. Also, it's if you're working with people in the public eye, the 7th house is a very public house. You can reconnect with people from the past, or you can reconnect with old clients, or you can get in touch with those that follow you or like you from before, or you can become more popular as well with Venus reconnect in the 7th house retrograde. I remember when Venus went retrograde in my 7th house 8 years ago, 9. That was the summer I got married, when it turned direct. My first time I got married, but so it was wonderful. But it was also exactly when it was retrograde. I reconnected with 2 ex-partners that I didn't have closure with, and it was wonderful because I got closure, and we became good friends, and all the pain and the hurt went away. So for some of it might be revisiting of old relationships, or even old friendships only. 7th house can be a dear friend that you love, that you feel connected to. You can just see more people the end of July, August, from your past, that you have good experiences with, that you haven't seen, and that it can turn out beneficial for you. that it can be positive in some way at the end. So, but for some of you, there might be a rethinking of, do I want those people in my life, and so on. But you see this powerful activation of the social houses, 3rd house, 7th house, they're both houses of others, building bridges, connect to others. This is my advice for you, Aquarius. You'll have, if you're a public figure, you'll have growth of your clients, more reach out, more likability, more connection with them. In your personal life, there will be more social interactions, less loneliness, more growth through others in some way as well. And in your personal life as well, it can be improvement of your communication and personal one-to-one relationships. Thank you.